If I had to use two words to sum up the Calgary Flames, it would be consistently inconsistent.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me in my fifth and a half season covering this team. Fifth and a half season covering this team, and I'm so excited to have you along here. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Today, I thought we would take some time to talk about another overtime performance from the Flames and ultimately a loss against the Boston Bruins and what we can kind of watch for, in these next few games, especially as the season goes on and we just try to have an idea of who the Calgary Flames are. Make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your team every day. I thought today we would start off with the difference makers from last night. And obviously, the top of the list there is Dustin Wolf. Sure, he allowed 4 goals. That doesn't it's not a great look, but the saves that he was making were phenomenal. It's the same execution and intense saves that he'd had in Montreal. And I think that speaks to, again, his skill level, his technical levels, his foundation of skills, and just how well he's able to track a puck, even when there's a bajillion little guys, a handful of players in front of him, and they're all poking and prodding and trying to fend off, play defense and offense. It's a lot. It's very overwhelming, and I don't know how goalies do it, but he tracks the puck so well, and he's able to stay on top of the puck during scrambles, and when there's that heavy net front fight or effort from the opponent. And I think that's impressive, and that's a really good skill to have at his level at this point in his career. And the only way he's going to get more, increase that skill and get better at it is if he sees more NHL time and more games. So thankfully, there's still a very good chunk of the season left. So we will be seeing more of that. And maybe these 2 games are ones we revisit towards the end of the season saying, hey, we saw this back then, and look at, just how much better he looks now with that same skill set, or whatever the case may be. But, that game easily could have been 7-2, 7-3, 8-3. It could have been miserable because there was just a lot. There was a lot happening that Dustin Wolf ultimately took control over. Rasmus Andersson did not look good. And that's a whole nother conversation, but Rasmus Andersson should probably take Dustin Wolf out to dinner, or whatever hockey players do to make it up for each other, buy each other Rolexes or something. I don't know. But I do know that Nazem Kadri scoring in Boston is something that just feels so right. He had the game-tying goal that pushed the Flames to overtime, and Kadri has looked good all season. Him and Huberdeau are tied for point leaders with 8 points apiece, and I am absolutely fascinated with the consistency that we're getting from Kadri, and not in I thought he was gonna fall off a cliff type of way, but we've seen players come to Calgary and they need that time to get adjusted, or time starts and they just decline, and Kadri's not a spring chicken anymore. So for him to be continuing to play at this level is great, and it's very exciting for the Flames. And I think that, he has been one of their better players all season long, and we're a month into the season now. It's not just like a 3 or 4 game effort that's going great and he's off to a hot start. It's been sustainable for him, and I'm looking forward to see what else happens here and what they could potentially bring to the table, and especially if the Flames do make some moves and bring up more young players. Could we see another situation where he's centering like a Rory Kearns or a Jacob Pelletier situation, like he did last year with Pospisil and Zary? But I think those two are the true difference makers, and Mackenzie Weegar, but he gets his own segment at the end of the show when we talk about what to watch for. But I think the two of them were they made pivotal plays throughout the entire game. And obviously, sure, the Flames lost, but they weren't even walking away with a point had Kadri not scored. So you have to still find the bright side and look at this in some manner that's going to, make sense. And sure, you can be upset that the Flames lost. It's not fun. But when you look at individual moments like Dustin Wolf's saves and like Kadri's game-tying goal, it's pieces to the puzzle that make the full picture. And I really have been impressed with both of them this entire season. And, we're just going to keep on trucking because we know that this is a long season, and the Flames going to extra hockey and back-to-back games is not necessarily something you want to see. And we're going to talk more about that next, and just how there's a much bigger issue here than their lack of scoring. And we'll be back right after this. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't always have the time to go to the doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through HIMS, you can get a personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside of your door. HIMS is changing the men's healthcare game by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there is no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatment to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable and compounded products which are not approved or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website and details for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices varies based on product and subscription plan. If you're like me, you love going to live events and look forward to finding the best deal on the best seats, and Game Time has you covered with Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks filters out all of the fluff to show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through thousands of tickets. I have used Game Time Picks twice this season. Once for when I saw the Battle of Alberta, and just this week when I went to Montreal to see the Flames beat the Habs in overtime. It was the most seamless ticket buying process, and I'm so glad that I took advantage of Game Time Picks. Right now, Game Time is having an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic event at Wrigley Field. Go to the Game Time app to purchase tickets and get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate area seats. Game Time Picks is the curation that makes it easier to save money save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed and following wherever you get your podcasts, because we're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Flames every day. One of the biggest issues for the Flames has been playing a full 60-minute game. Not 45 minutes or even 50 minutes, but a full 60. Where is the urgency? Where is the I don't want to say enthusiasm, because that's not necessarily fair, but there's no get up early on in the game. I feel like it takes them a good 8 to 10 minutes before they're finally in the game most nights. And that's not good. You are wasting valuable time. And there's a solid chance that you are already trailing in shots and potentially on the scoreboard as well. And going through the whole game like that in the whole season is it's not going to work. The Flames have to figure out a way to get started on that first shift. They can't just be dilly-dallying along and, waiting for one line to take over and shift the game. It should be intense from the jump. And I get it. Some games are hard to get up for. I'm sure the game against the Sabres this weekend is not going to be one that, they're necessarily ready and fighting for, but you have to be on your, have your intensity turned up to 110% every single game. There's just a complete disconnect somewhere along the way in that full 60-minute effort. One thing that at least I have noticed these last few games is they will, they'll check in halfway into the first period, and then by the time they get something going, the period's over. And they don't have a true opportunity. Had they utilized the full 20 minutes, they more than likely would have scored. And it's frustrating because you can see the build up to the where they check in, and then it's going, it's great, and then the period's over. And that happened to them last night. They ended up going on penalty kill late in the first period, but they were finally getting something going and established, and they looked like they were going to generate some decent scoring opportunities for themselves. And they have to find a way, again, to get up from that first face-off to the end of the third period. And I get it. Some teams, they check out for the second period. Sometimes it's like you don't even know what you're watching. And I don't know if anyone's ever had this happen where you're, driving home from somewhere and then you pull into your driveway and you're like, I don't remember driving home. How did I get here? Because you've just been so spaced out or zoning out, whatever the case is. And I feel like that's what happens the first 10 minutes of the Flames game. And it used to be the second period. And granted that this was 3 or 4 years ago, so entirely different team, but you can't just not clock in. You have to show up. And especially because this team very clearly believes in themselves. Blake Coleman says it night after night after night. We never believe that we are out of a game. And last night, they weren't. They were in it. And the same thing happened against Montreal. If anything, they outplayed Montreal. They outshot Montreal. The Flames never outshoot opponents, very rarely. And for them to, get lucky and have that goal overturned for being very offside, and to have Matt Coronado get lucky on that faceoff where the Habs kind of fumbled it and right to him, great. But it has to be a full 60 minutes. So you aren't going to overtime night after night after night. Do you guys remember a few years ago when there were 17 loser points? Like, that was a franchise high. 17. And that was a miserable season. It has to be a complete effort from the top to the bottom. We know I have confidence in the goalies. I don't think that there's an issue there. I'm content with their play. What I'm not content with is Rasmus Andersson and Kevin Ball just checking out. What are we doing? We're generating turnovers. We're giving the puck away. We are just not playing defense. I don't understand what you're waiting for, because your job is to literally play defense. Play defense. I don't think, not that it's not hard, but you have proven that you are capable of playing great defense. So do it. And it's not always going to be 100% every single shift, but can you at least show up when it's like it happening, when you're standing in front of the net? Can you look alive? Can you look like you know how to play defense? Can you look like you're even in your own head, like you're physically on the ice? It's tough. It happened a lot last year, and in Noah Hannafin specifically, but that's not our problem anymore. But now it's like jumped over to Rasmus Andersson and has leached on to Kevin Ball, and it is just not good. Full 60-minute effort from every single player on that ice. Anthony Mantha, before he got hurt, great net front presence. Connor Zary, great net front presence. Martin Pospisil, fantastic at taking penalties. If we can eliminate that from the equation and have a good 60-minute effort, you might win a few more games. I don't think it's that hard. It feels very simple to say, but those actions will speak a lot louder than words. And if you think you're a better team than you're currently playing as, prove it. Go out there Sunday afternoon in Buffalo and show every single person that you are very capable of looking like a high caliber team for 60 minutes. And that's definitely going to be something to watch for on Sunday. So we will keep an eye out for that. And to wrap up the show today, we will be talking about some players to keep an eye on as well. And we will be right back after this. FanDuel is your place to bet on all of your favorite sports and get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Maybe you are looking to place a bet on the Flames money line this weekend. Are they going to win against Buffalo? I would probably bet the over on the game too, since, the goalies just love letting in goals sometimes. And, well, but it's also Buffalo, so you never know. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit fanduel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's fanduel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. I would love to continue this conversation regarding Kevin Ball and Rasmus Andersson. I would genuinely watch closely at their performance on Sunday. I think that these two players should be under a microscope, considering how often they're on the ice for goals against. And I don't think that it's necessarily for a lack of trying all the time. I think there are definitely moments where it's like, oh, okay, maybe we can see this version of the top pairing more often. And that would be great. But unfortunately, it's been a little streaky and a little negative. So I would, especially against a bad team like Buffalo, don't let them get exposed. Let's have Rasmus Andersson be the Rasmus Andersson that started the season and maybe stare down a Sabres fan too while he's at it. Like, we know that he is capable of playing at that level. And speaking of another great defenseman on this team, actually great defense would be Mackenzie Weegar. He had a great game against the Bruins and on Tuesday against the Canadiens. Very energetic. He had the stamina. He has the patience. He's not afraid to shoot the puck, which is great. He had a goal on Thursday. So there's something there. And we know this, but it's great to watch him. And I think that Miramonov has been playing better with him as well. However, I do potentially maybe want to see him and Andersson on the same pairing again. I know that that's like not highly popular, but I really liked them together. Maybe they just need to switch it up and change in routine, change in partner, because Kevin Ball just like has brought out the worst in Rasmus Andersson. And it's making you feel really weird, making me feel very weird. Because that's not the Rasmus Andersson we're used to seeing. And we are also not really used to seeing this version of Andrei Kuzmenko, who's in a little bit of a rut. I think that he has had some really good chances lately and has just been robbed completely by the post or a blocked shot, whatever the case may be. He has just had chance after chance kind of ripped away from him. And I think that it's kind of obvious that it's wearing on him, I would say. I think you can tell in his I don't know what the right word is, but the way that he sometimes carries himself on the ice too, like you can tell that like he's not moving as fast and not keeping up with the other players. Like he just loses confidence. Like he runs out of steam, runs out of gas, and that's no fun. And no one likes not scoring. Like you want to be scoring goals, especially when you came here last December and just fired off goals game after game after game. Your first goal came in your first game as a Flame too. So it's like those were the expectations. And Unfortunately, they're not really being met right now. I think in general, one thing the Flames can work on, or you can keep an eye on to see if you've noticed anything different, but that would be the overpassing. I think that this team oftentimes loses confidence in themselves. Jonathan Huberdeau, I'm looking you dead in the eye. When I say this, just shoot the puck. What is the worst that could happen? Stop overpassing. Because when you're overpassing, you're making a mistake. There's so many giveaways created in that moment, and I'm tired of seeing players have like a clear shot of the net and them just going like making the late decision to pass. So someone else has already, that defenseman has already figured you out and is ready to intercept the puck. And it's time to stop. Please just shoot the puck. It's very simple. Something I'm sure they're all used to hearing. Just do it. Bold strategy, I know, but I guess I would just keep an eye out on that, and maybe the penalties that they take, because I just don't have much faith in anything when it comes to their penalty kill. So maybe let's not do any on Sunday. But that will do it for me here on today's episode of Locked On Flames. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Stay warm if it's cold where you are. Stay hydrated. Be kind. I think it's so important. But make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. Your Calgary Flames every day. And you can find me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And I will see you all on Monday, where we will recap the game against the Sabres and maybe talk a little bit about a Matt Coronado extension.